Okay, we have established everything we need. So starting from this lesson, let's just create this shot cinematic lighting. As I mentioned before, this shot I want to show how the armors reacts to the light, and as well as the light, the whole light in terms of light intensity and direction is sort of within the cloud, so it's overcast, so the shadow won't be too sharp, will be more like a soft shadow situation. And aside from the lighting, I also will be talking about how to use the 3D Studio Max particle system to create this sort of a rain effect running on top of the windshield, and we will render out a sort of alpha matte and using compositing to create this rain effect. And in the end, I will also be talking about those technical details about rendering for multi-pass compositing later on in Nuke, things like how to set up proper motion blur parameters and what kind of Z-depth configuration we need for better defocus. Okay, let's just go into the Studio Max. Here I have prepared a raw scene without any light for you to start the lighting, because the shader setup for the chair is kind of complicated. It's just a lot of pieces involved. So if you want to just do the lighting for the shot, you can open up the project file, and there should be a file called lighting before, where you can start building your own light. And in that file, all the shaders prepared, so you just have to worry about the lighting process. So this is what this start raw lighting file looks like. Everything is, all the geos are prepared, and I also imported the camera in there. So in theory you can just start putting the light into this shot. But before we put in the light, let's go back to the reference for a second. As you can see, because in the reference the light is less directional and the shadow is soft. It's not like the one on the right, where it's in the outer space, so the light is pretty strong and sharp shadow. So what we need to do is we're gonna use a less directional light and probably put it on the outside of the both, I think, front and the side. So we have a sort of average ambient light happening in this shot. But as you can see in the shadow, we can still see the difference between shadow and the highlight. So we still need to keep that contrast there. The very first thing in the lighting in my process is, as always, I will use a HDRI image just to give the whole scene a little ambient color. I don't necessarily use the HDRI to light up the scene. I use it more for like a general ambient color. If it's the sky in outer space, it gives a little nice blue tint. So if you open up this file, you can see I have grouped everything in this file and everything's named properly. So we can just activate the light layer. So we build all the light in that layer. Easier just for us to keep the scene clean, and just for housekeeping sake. Let's just add this dome light into the light layer, and we can freeze all the other layers so we don't touch them by mistake. I really need to monitor. Anyway, so same thing. After we created the dome light, we just give it a HDRI image. Here I use this sort of above the cloud. I use this above the cloud HDRI. It's like a very sunny day, but I use this above the cloud HDRI, where the sky is casting this bluish color into the scene. This kind of HDRI is good for the outdoor situation, but as you can see in this HDRI, there's nothing blocking the sunlight. So if we directly use this HDRI, we will get a very sharp directional lights, and we will get a very sharp directional light and a very sharp shadow. So we only want to use this as an ambient color. and we're gonna lower the intensity probably to 0.1, so it doesn't contribute much to this whole shot. Let's fire up the RT rendering as well. Same thing, when we're doing the lighting using V-Ray, I also recommend just to use RT to get the light into a rough good spot, and then we use ADV to double check. As you can see in the reference, the key light comes from probably the front and the side, and same thing, I kind of want to rotate the HDRI into the same direction, so I don't have conflict over the HDRI environment versus my actual key light I'm going to put in later on. We do the same thing, we're just going to use the environment as the HDRI and use the HDRI in the viewport. I think I can probably rotate the light to the left a little bit more. Yes, I'm just going to rotate it in the material HDRI node. As you can see, now the character's face is getting lit a little bit by the HDRI. Now let's just drop in a couple of key light just to make it, we're just dropping a couple of key lights right now. In the final one, I think I put a very strong key light in the front, and maybe another key light on the right side, and also have a sort of a rim light coming out from the back, so I have a little interesting highlight happening on the back of the character. And I remember I also have a fill light. From coming out from the left side of the character, so the shadow doesn't look so dark. So let's create a plain V-Ray light, and let's cut key lights. Just keep the naming. Just keep the name properly so we don't get lost later. Let me just place it. Maybe I need to put a little bit bigger for now, and let me just put it to the front as the first key light. For some reason, the V-Ray light comes in at 30 intensity, and normally we only use 1 to 3, so maybe I boost up to 5, so we just lower it down a little bit. I kind of want to turn off the background a little bit so I don't get confused by the HDRI environment, because I only want to care about the character and the environment. I don't want to see the blue sky, because we're going to replace the background later on. You can see the key light is actually lighting up the shoulder pad metal a little bit already, but I kind of want to. Here's the case that I kind of want this key light to have more contribution to the specular overall in the scene. As you can see, we keep the diffuse and color the same, but we have a stronger highlight on the face and also on the horn and the shoulder pad. Now I have 2 lights right now. I kind of noticed right now, in this shot, right now the shadow is a little bit too dark, even though I have a dome light as HDR in this shot. So I might have to boost up the HDRI overall ambient light a bit more, just so whatever in the shadow is not so dark. So before we put it to 0.1, maybe we need to make it go back to 1. 1 is too much, half. How about 0.8? I think it's pretty good. So now we get a little blue tint overall in the shot from the HDRI. Let me move the key light a bit more to get a better direction. Whenever I'm putting in the light, I care more about how the light and the shadow work together to present either the face structure or the environment structure better. Meaning to use the bright part and versus the shadow, we can give the main character face more volume rather than a flat. So I always like to put the light either on the side of the face rather than on straight on the top of the face. So now let's duplicate the key light a little bit more so we can actually I'm gonna put it on the back to do the rim light for now. And also we need to probably lower down the specular contribution. Again, this is a subjective process, but the general is just to pay attention to how the face structure is presented by the light and the shadow. Let's switch a frame so we can see how it's better. So we can switch a frame. I kind of want the rim light to give the shoulder pad, to sort of affect the left shoulder pad a little bit more. Because right now the rim light doesn't really have a direction, but I only want the rim light to affect a little portion on the. I only want the rim light to light up the left side of the shoulder pad, so I may need to tweak the direction just to concentrate, just to focus on the light, focus the rim light to a specific area. Okay, let me just boost up the directional right now. Now if I concentrate a little bit more, almost use it as a spotlight. But as you can see now, as we increase the directional, the light intensity is getting boosted up as well. So I may need to tweak the light scale a little bit more. Maybe put it a little bit smaller. Here's the thing that when you have the directional we have the directional frustum show. And if you press F, it will just send you to the another side of the universe. Let's move it a little bit, just to concentrate on only the left side, sorry, on the right side of the armor, a little bit like that. Maybe lower the intensity down a bit. Now I'm just trying to get as close as to the final one, and I will also include the final lighting file in the project folder so you can check how the lighting is set up in the final one. So here's a good case to show how we use the directional parameter to in the actual shot, just to just to focus a certain light onto a certain area. Now what I'm seeing is maybe as you can see on the behind the screen, that whole portion is all hidden in the shadow. I kind of want to give another light to break down the shadow a little bit so it doesn't look so flat. And maybe I need to brighten up the left side of those beams. Let me just duplicate this key light and move it to the left. Let's just rotate a bit. And same thing, I think that same thing, I need to boost up the direction of this light as well, because I don't want it to be so diffused, the casting light to the character's face. And lower the intensity as we crank up the directional. As I said before, it's just juggling between 3 parameters, actually 4 parameters to get the result that we want. I kind of want to that part is still in shadow. I'm supposed to how can I make it lower down a bit? Lower down a bit and tilt light up. What can I get? Still not there. Just give me a second. Maybe I need to move. I still don't see that part is getting lit. I need to move it down a bit. Is it better? Yes. Something like that. You see, now we broke down the shadow part and make it less flat, because the texture for the interior is mostly white, so we have to be really careful not to overexpose the whole shot. Maybe just need to lower down the specular a little bit. So if we have exposed, it'll be really tough for us to tweak it back later in the compositing. We'd rather to have it underexposed than overexposed. At least underexposed, we have all the information, pixel information we need. We can boost up the contrast or the light, the brightness in the in the compositing later on. That's pretty good. I think we have a good. It's pretty good. Maybe I need to. I feel like that part is too bright. Maybe I need to concentrate the light a bit more or less. Let me see. Take the shader. Again, this process is completely up to you how you want to construct the light. It's completely up to you how you want to construct the light. This is what I think that works in this shot. Probably can come up with a better lighting setup. Maybe the armor is getting overexposed a little bit more. What I see, I feel the left shoulder section is a little bit too bright, so I'm gonna just lower down the intensity of the dome light. Maybe I want a little bit brighter on the character's face. I want to get a bit better. I want to get a better light on the. I want to get a brighter spot on the character's face. Maybe it can be a little bit brighter, but it's fine. And the last step is because we have 2 screens. We have 2 screens in front of the character, so we need to put into a bluish light in front of him. So his face is getting a little bluish color that coming out from the screen light. So we're just gonna do the same thing, create a screen-ish. We're gonna create we're doing the same thing. We'll create a light the same size as the screen, and put it where the screen is. See, as you can see, this is how much I struggle without 2 monitors. Even our character gets 2 monitors. I only get 1. Okay, almost there. Don't worry about the intensity right now. I will lower it down later. Here's the one of the cases that we need to hide the light source so we don't see the bright part. Maybe lower the intensity to 1 and change the color to blue. I don't want the light to like spill. I don't want the light to spill too much to the side beam, so I may need to give it a better directional. I probably need to give a better direction so it doesn't spill the blue color to the interior. I only wanted to focus most of the part to the character's face. I may need to rotate a bit. It feels like it's not even shooting at the character's face. We need to rotate a bit. There we go. You can see on the forehead, under the eyes, we can get a little bit bluish tint. Now it's a little biased to the purple. We need to bring the hue down a bit so it works with the screen texture color. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to duplicate the light to move it to the left screen. I really hate when you press F, this thing which just sends you into somewhere else. Oh, it's pain. It's a painful process. Okay. This might be a little bit too strong, but I kind of like it. It's kind of, I mean, it's probably over too strong, but I kind of like it. It's like in this kind of sci-fi lab. You see the screen is all blue because blue is a sci-fi color. Right now, the light is only affecting the face, but judging by the size of the screen, I think the light probably can spill a little bit to the front chest. This probably can spill a little bit to the chest. So this is more of like in the detail part. That again, very subjective process. A very subjective process. Now I'm just want to spend a little bit more time here. And just to give a little nice blue tint to the chest, and you can see now the chest has a little blue tint right now. And because we have a two sort of fairly strong light shooting at his face, his neck, it's actually giving us some really nice reflections. Maybe a 2. Okay, I think it's a good spot. Maybe boost up the other one a little bit so we have a little difference So that's pretty much the light setup for this shot. And again, you guys can start with my project file from start and check the project file named final to check how I set up the light. And the start file, you can just set up your own light based on what I just show in this course. So just to recap, the whole process is use HDRI if you can to give the whole scene that little ambient color, and then drop in the key light, drop in the fill light, drop in the rim light, and use the directional parameter, work with the intensity just to assign the light to different area to make sure to check the balance between the bright area versus the shadow area, and take care of the contrast to see if light is giving the geometry a better volume. Yeah, that's pretty much it, just to try to avoid flat light, and if there's a flat area, use another light to break it down, or use the shadow to break it down. In the next course, we're going to be talking about the multi-channel rendering setup and how we prepare all the channels we need for later on compositing.
Purchase genuine tutorial. Enjoy the question answering from course tutor in the long term. Join the exclusive Facebook group and learn from each other. Also, you can sign up with Yihu.com. Search for the course ID. Obtain the full learning courseware, project files. Follow us on Facebook. Get closer to become a master in CG field.